Back again, as promised, right? We like to keep our promises. But I have to ask you all, how many of you would like to just show up and have your message turn into a money making machine for your business in a way that it's aligned and authentic with the way you like to show up, right? Too. So it's not just putting somebody else's best foot forward. It's like your true, authentic self showing up and shining in a way that is aligned with your business and the way you like to do things, but it also brings you a lot of clients, a lot of leads. That would be pretty awesome. At least I would love it. So, if that's you, you're in the right place because Christine's going to share some good stuff with us again today about how you can use podcasting to get your message out there, to increase your impact, influence, and income when you do it the right way. And her clients do it the right way. So, Christine, welcome back again. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. This is such an exciting conversation because, gosh, like if you're listening to this, you probably have a really, really, really important message. And this is the stuff that I like voice note my friends about. This is the stuff that I eat, sleep, and breathe is like how we can best help people with these important messages, these messages that help heal the world and make the world a better place,
Mm,
that keep people who are doing this type of impactful work in business and growing and supporting themselves, supporting their families, giving back. Like this is the stuff that I just live for. So thank you for bringing it here.
yeah, I'm excited. And it is, it's truly, I've had some of my clients that have come to me and shared stories where it's like the thing that keeps them going is they do that one podcast of their own podcast episodes or an interview, and they get one person that's like, I needed to hear that. That changed the trajectory of my life that one time. So it's very, very important. And in order to keep being able to spread that message, your awesomeness, let's face it, we're entrepreneurs. You got to have some cash flow. So, today we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that that you run up against, Christine. And before we do that, I just want to remind everybody, stick around to the end because we want to make sure that you guys don't miss out on this podcast, guestforprofit.com. Make sure to join us August 1. That's next Tuesday. Enough of that, but you should go check it out as soon as we're done with this live. So, Christine, I know you and I have talked in the past, and a couple things often come up, and I'm sure we often deal with this. Not only do we deal with imposter syndrome a lot of times, but I'm sure you did share with me that a lot of times you hear that people are worried that their message may be too repetitive, that people are going to get tired of hearing this over and over again. Should I change it up? Should I do things differently? What do you usually help people with when it comes to that?
Yeah, this is, I think, a really common fear that we have, right? So what I often ask is, do you find that the people who you follow or that you follow around on a podcast tour, do you find that, you know, you're getting tired of them, these people that you love? Do you find that you're getting tired of what they have to say, even if they mention the same few things? I mean, what about you, Evans? Do you ever get tired of hearing your favorite people talk?
No, I love it. I love it. It's always got a little different slant and a little different. Here's the thing, and I'll share one reason that I picked up. I can't remember who shared this, and I was like, that's it. Is that we as humans, we are constantly evolving and expanding. So what we heard yesterday may be the same words that we hear today or 2 weeks from now, but we're in a different place and it affects us differently. So I think you have to remember that is that your listeners are not always they're not in the same place they were. I mean, how many of you have read a book before and then reread it and you're like, oh my gosh, did I even read this line before? Because I don't remember it, but it affects you differently, right? You learn differently because you've grown. So to me, I think that's what's important. And I absolutely, there's people, I've heard their stories. I can't tell you how many times, hundreds probably. And I sit there and I have a beginner's mind.
Mhm. Exactly. And I think that when we can realize that that is kind of a fear that our ego has, or our fear brain or whatever, that people are going to get bored of us, that is actually going to repel them, that people won't want to hear the same thing from us over and over. But that's not actually something that's true for us, for the people who we most love. And then
Hmm.
thinking that, well, you have those people already in your world, right? It's not going to feel repetitive. And also, nobody sees every single thing that you post, every single podcast that you've been interviewed on. They do not follow you around and stalk you to that degree, right? So it is a matter of going like, this message gets to be shared in the places where I have the opportunities. And also, again, to your point about like how we're always evolving and growing, people aren't going to remember what you said. They're going to remember the energy that you brought, and
Mm.
whether it resonated with them. That's what they're going to carry away from the conversation. That's what's going to make them follow you somewhere else. So it's more about showing up and being yourself, and having the level of preparation, and being able to lean back into what you've already set up and the strategy, so that you can trust the strategy is going to take care of itself when you have the comfort level to show up as your authentic self.
Mm, I love that. Yeah, you hit on something huge there that people do, and I can't. I think was it Maya Angelou that said that something like, people don't remember you for what you say, but for how you make them feel. And here's the thing that you also touched on is the having the strategy and the preparation. And this is important because I know we've done the podcast Guest for Profit um, workshop in the past, and we've had people, we've talked about this and we've addressed some of the false beliefs. And you actually have a formula, a system that you help people with so they do get prepared. Because what's going to happen is, if you guys have been paying attention, Chris, when Christine was sharing that her clients were getting 80% acceptance rate, you get accepted on one of the top, let's say 0.5% podcasts, like the dream podcast that you want to get on, and you show up and you don't put your best foot forward, or you're not prepared, or you don't have something planned out, like your signature talk, then your energy, it's not going to, the people listening to you aren't necessarily going to know that you didn't say what you didn't want to say, but they're definitely going to feel that energy of not being all in and all like there in your authentic self with your energy. So can you share a little bit more about that? I think I've got it here in front of me, the identify your it factor formula, which is part of the podcast Guest for Profit blueprint. So that's something you help people with, right? So that they can show up and shine at their highest and their brightest.
Yes. If this is something, that, let's say, you enjoy, or that is really like calling to you, our goal and the way that we work with you is to help you show up in such a way that it's in alignment with who you are. We're not putting on a mask.
Mm,
It's who you are, and it's who you are to such an extent that people take notice because it's different. Because
mm,
let's face it, most people are trying to emulate somebody else who has the kind of success that they want, right? Without knowing any of what it took to get there, or any how that person's actually wired, or any what's going on behind the scenes. We see a follower count, we see an earning claim or whatever, and we're like, I'm just gonna reverse engineer that, do the thing, right?
mm.
No, like the
Mhm.
goal is, um, I can remember hearing somebody come to me after being on Entrepreneurs on Fire and say to me, "Look, I've been listening to this show for a year. It's a daily show, so 365-ish episodes." And she said, "I have never ever heard the host respond to another guest the way he responded to you. How can I hire you?" And
Mm,
it wasn't that I went in going like, "I'm going to listen to 365 episodes, figure out what's missing and be that." It was, I am going to show up with the preparation and the certainty, so that I can deliver such a level of value that the host has their pattern interrupted and goes, "This person's different." And they feel it. So guess what? The audience feels it. And
mm,
that just has a ripple effect, because you are serving so authentically from who you are.
I love that. Yeah, because the audience takes a cue from the host, so that energy transmutes through them as well. So I love that. So, and one thing I want to touch on too, because I know we said that this, how to turn your message into a money making machine. Now, what we're talking about, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Christine, is that we're not teaching. Your identify your it factor and the way you show up does not teach you how to go on and just be pitching your stuff during the show, because that's going to be the opposite effect, right? That's going to give bad energy to the host and bad energy to the audience, and you're not going to be turning your message into a money making machine, correct?
Correct. Yeah, this is about co-creating a conversation, right?
Mm.
This is about understanding the stage that you're on, and also that even some of the best speakers from stage in the world don't know how to do this. And we've talked about this before, largely because it's such a new stage. Because people don't understand it, they translate a different stage to it. And you and I were talking about Eli Wild, who you may know is one of the top speakers on the planet. He's flown all over the world to deliver talks from stage. He used to be Tony Robbins' #1 salesperson and has a multi-million-dollar business. And to watch him close from stage, is an experience in and of itself. Well, come to find out, he's delivered that same signature presentation 3,400 times. He recently shared 3,400 times, 3,400 times, right? And he continues to iterate on it and tweak. And so I would say that to the people who are like, am I going to get repetitive? Well, Eli's one of the best in the world at it. What does he keep doing? He keeps iterating. But the thing that's interesting about Eli is he has completely mastered and embodied what he does. It is incredible to watch. And he and I had a conversation on his podcast about podcast guesting specifically. And he went, oh my gosh, I've been doing podcast guesting all wrong. I've been thinking about it all wrong. Right. So for somebody who has that understanding of a level of speaking and stage, to come out and be willing to own that this is a different skill set, to practice beginnership and say, I'm going to do this differently now. I think it speaks to just the lack of awareness and education and knowledge that all of us have. Because if he doesn't know it, right, then most of us certainly don't. And so I think it's just a great opportunity. And also a reminder that this really is a blue ocean done right.
Yeah.
It really is a blue ocean if the top people in the business are new to it as well.
I love that. Yeah. So imagine if you have that kind of mastery around your message, for those of you listening, and you show up on these shows with, following Christine's formula to show up as yourself, but you're mastered it. And now you have that kind of to me, you just show up with so much energy and it's like you're in flow, right? And they feel that. And I love that. And as you mentioned, there's also the art of moving them from listener to lead to sale. And it's not by being that person that shows up in your DMs that's pitching you from, the first time they talk to you, right?
Oh
that icky feeling. So I know we're about to wrap up here. So let's real quick let everybody know where they can learn more and where they can definitely learn more about this Identify Your It Factor formula, along with everything else we've talked about the rest of this week. And we still have one more day tomorrow too. So make sure you guys tune in 3:30 Eastern tomorrow. We got something else cool to share with y'all to hopefully help give you some confidence and some incentive to start getting out there and just getting your message out. That's the first key thing. So Christine, where can they learn more? Where can they just come dive in and get just, ensconced? The word I know, right? Like, I don't know where that came from, but they could just absorb all this amazingness that you have to offer to them.
I love it. I do love scones. So ensconced scones. Okay. So this is where Evans and I together, Evans has an incredible understanding of podcasting as somebody who, ran a super successful podcast, huge podcast, to the point where they sold and exited that podcast successfully. And my me bringing expertise on the guesting side, so that we really can speak to you about how to become the type of a podcast guest who is a contributor to this powerful space and receives value for yourself, right? Creates a true win-win-win for the host, for the audience, and for yourself and your business. And so we want to dive in and help you walk away having created some specific plans, possibilities, blueprint, your very own podcast guesting for profit blueprint when our time together is done. And so you can register for this live event, which is happening on Tuesday, August 1st, first day of the month. Start with a clear plan for how to get your message out to more of the right people at podcastguestforprofit.com. If you really want to accelerate your results and your timeline, you can invest just a few dollars in a VIP ticket, which is going to get you access to private coaching with me and the other VIPs, as well as some bonuses that are so good. Some people who have attended this workshop in the past are actually sharing about it to their audiences because of what they experienced as VIP ticket holders.
I love it. And I didn't think about this before, but we actually, when you get your VIP tickets, as we're talking about turning your message into a money-making machine, there's also a training in there that I did called Listeners to Leads training, which is, it's a nice video training, and it shares the system that we created where we were able to get 78.6% opt-in rate from listener to lead. So that's basically 8 out of 10 people, just a little shy of that. So that's in the VIP area. That alone is worth, I don't even know. I'm going to say 100 times what the VIP ticket is, because it will turn your business around. So, and it teaches it aligns fully with what Christine teaches as well. So I'm excited. Make sure you guys grab a VIP ticket and join us next Tuesday. This will be something that you invest these few hours in that day. It's going to pay off for the lifetime of your business. It's going to help grow your business to new levels, and in a way that feels authentic and aligned with what you love to do. So get your message out there. Either way, get your message out there. Join us back here tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern. Don't know what we're going to I know what we're going to talk about, but we'll have to hold off on it. It's a secret surprise. We got one more day with something good, but just get out there, get your message out, start podcast guesting. You will absolutely love it. And come to Podcast Guest for Profit next week. Get that VIP ticket, and we'll start, like Christine said, we'll start building out your Podcast Guest for Profit blueprint together. And thank you again, Christine. And thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.